Imagine you're asked to write a song for a musical, but you haven't seen the script. The story is still in flux, and this song has to set the tone for the whole production. Welcome to my world. Hi, I'm Scott. You're watching Inside Musicals, the channel for all things musical theatre. Now, I've been commissioned to write this song, Mama's Gift, for a musical, and it's a little different to the others I've shared because it brings some new challenges. So I'm going to present it across 3 different videos. This one is how I compose the song. The second is how I rehearse and record vocals for a demo. And the third is the song itself. And I'll link those at the end of this video. Now, I don't write any 2 songs in exactly the same way, but I do usually start with a purpose for the song. What does it have to do? And that gives me a benchmark to measure my ideas against. That's usually followed by a period of exploration and discovery, which is a fancy way of saying I throw shit against the wall till something sticks. I mean, I don't literally throw, oh please. And then that leads to decisions that make the rest of my choices clear, whether it's the melody, chords, structure, style. So we're going to walk through some of the key decisions I have to make. Now, in a musical, every song has a context, so I usually start with a big picture plan of the show. I want to understand the world of the story, so I know how the sound of my score embodies that world. I want to develop thematic musical ideas that thread through the drama. But on this project, I don't have a script to work from. The story's still evolving and anything could change. I do have lyrics, but I don't really know what else happens in the scene or what happens in the scene prior or after. So the first thing I ask is, what do I know for sure? Well, I know it's sung by the main character, so it needs to be worthy of a lead actor, satisfying both the needs of the drama and the necessity for that actor to shine. I know the song appears in the first act, so it may be establishing that character, which is a young woman with determination to overcome adversity. So perhaps there's a youthful quality to the music. I know she's from the lower working classes in Melbourne, Australia toward the end of the 19th century, so there's a period setting. Now, if I want to be true to the era, I could reference folk song, music hall, operetta, ragtime even, or I could just ignore the time period entirely. Let's see how that plays out, because that one decision will impact the entire score. Now, at face value, the song is the girl recalling advice given to her by a dead mother, presumably prior to the mother's death and not post-mortem. I mean, that would be a miracle. I mean, this is a musical, so it's possible, but I don't think it's that kind of show. But maybe there's an emotional aspect to the song. Now, that sounds like a lot of options, but if I just go with the most obvious solution and say, well, it's just a song about memory, I could end up with just a generic, reflective ballad. It might even be emotional. But as actors say, that would just be playing the state rather than playing the drama. And I want this to be more specific. And those other qualities of youthfulness, energy, determination feel very different to reflection. And then I consider the backstory element. I'm always wary of any character simply relaying backstory because it's inherently static. It's already happened. And if handled poorly, it can feel like exposition for the sake of the audience rather than anything significant for the character. So I ask, how's the mother's advice relevant to the girl now? What is the girl doing? And what can the music add that the lyrics aren't already doing? Because if they both do the same thing, one of them's redundant. Now, without a script, I'm just guessing. But what if that act of remembering is the girl giving herself a pep talk to tackle the next challenge? Because then there's the final piece of the puzzle, which is the last line of the song, which is, and I'm sharing it with you. This is the girl's first moment to connect with her love interest. So maybe the song's flirtatious. I mean, maybe this is the girl winning him over with her determination and drive. Because that's something the actress can play. It gives me a purpose for the music, and where the lyrics are reflective, maybe the music's flirtatious. Now, whenever I write a song to existing lyrics, I usually start from a place of rhythm and the scansion of the words, noting the natural emphasis of each syllable when I read it out loud. I look for characteristic patterns, phrasing, repetition, breathing space, whether it suggests a time signature. If I read this in 3/4 time, the first few lines are, Mama used to tell me I was beautiful, but said the beauty on the outside needed beauty on the inside. But to my ear, 3/4 sounds more measured and elegant than flirtatious. So how about 4/4? Mama used to tell me I was beautiful, but said the beauty on the outside needed beauty on the inside. Definitely more pace, but some of the syllables feel cramped. And with syllables on almost every beat of the bar, there's nowhere for the ear to rest, and there's little space for the singer to breathe. I mean, which is fine for a patter song like I am the very model of a modern major general, which is supposed to sound busy, but it's contrary to the purpose of this song. It's just too much. Now, I could break up the lines into smaller chunks. Mama used to tell me I was beautiful, but said the beauty on the outside needed beauty on the inside. Except now the gaps are too big and it feels choppy. And on a practical level, 7 stanzas of lyrics could make for a very long ballad. So maybe syncopation can fill those gaps and bring some youthful exuberance. Except there are discrepancies in syllable counts and emphasis from one section of the song to another. And no matter how I try, I don't seem to be able to find a satisfying rhythmic pattern that's consistent throughout those sections. So I go to the writer. Can I simplify the song as long as I don't change the meaning? And it's not a criticism of the writer, that's part of the collaboration process. Fortunately, she trusts my instincts, so change whatever you need, she says. So instead of, Mama used to tell me I was beautiful, Mama told me I was beautiful. That's only a minor change, but that little skip to the rhythm gives energy and sass, which is exactly what I'm looking for in this song. And looking at a side-by-side comparison of syllables, you can see how much more space I've gained in just one section of the song. Easy to sing, easy to hear. So now I'm thinking about the rise and fall of the melody. So I start with the bigger picture, the structure, and how the song's divided into sections. I want to know which musical ideas recur, where there are contrasts, and how the song builds and releases. And looking at the lyric patterns, there are 2 verses, a chorus, a verse, chorus, a verse, and a coda. In traditional music, a chorus is typically a repeated section of the song where everyone joins in. If you think folk music or hymns, for instance. In a pop song, this is usually where the point of the song is made and it's an emotional high point of the song, and we anticipate its return. But in theatre, we don't want the audience to get ahead of the character, to know what they're about to say. And there needs to be a good dramatic reason for a character to dwell on something they've just said, rather than move forward. It's not that a chorus can't work in theatre, but in this instance, I don't want it to announce itself as the chorus in the same way as a pop song. So I restructure. What was the first verse is now an introduction with its own identity, followed by 2 verses, a double chorus, a verse, and a coda. So the choruses are an energetic high point, but then the song kind of pulls back into that final verse to build again into the coda, which is the point of the song. And to me, it feels more theatrical, less predictable. Now, since the chorus is the high point, that's where I'm going to start the melody. And I want it to feel bright, so I choose the key of D major, as good a key as any. But it also means that as a baritone, singing the demo, I can sing at least a major third above the tonic if that's where the melody goes. Now I'm starting to feel the energy of the song, and I'm liking that syncopation, except it feels a bit more Latin than 19th century, but I'm just going to go with it for now. Now, with the chorus so strongly centered around D as the home key, the tonic, I want the verse to start somewhere else so we can lift into the chorus. But I don't want it to sound like an obvious key change, just that we've moved somewhere brighter to echo the hopefulness of the song. So I start the verse in B minor, the relative minor key to B major. That simply means they share a lot of the same chords, but the verse will emphasize the minor key sound and the chorus will emphasize the major key sound. And plus, with that shift of tonal center up a major third into the chorus, it just all feels a little lighter. But to make that D major feel like a more distant journey, I use a little harmonic subterfuge, starting the verse on an E minor chord that resolves to that B minor as our temporary tonal center. want the introduction to sound like the verses, but I do want it to feel like it belongs. So I use a similar chord progression, but with a different melody. And I revert back to that 3/4 time, so it feels more measured, more wistful and melancholy. And with an arpeggiated music box style accompaniment, I suggest a reflection back to childhood. Is it cliche? Possibly. But it serves a purpose. The tenderness of this introduction contrasts the rest of the song, making the rest of the song feel more energetic. And just for a little seasoning, every verse and chorus is just slightly different. Now, once I complete the accompaniment, I can hear this song is definitely much more Latin than 19th century. But it feels right for this character, in this song, at this moment. So that's going to set the tone for the rest of the score. And as long as I establish that as a convention, no one's going to question that it's not historically accurate. As I said earlier, every song in a musical exists in a context. And once I see that finished script, this could all be completely wrong. And even in performance, an actor or director might interpret this in a different way. But as long as I'm consistent with the purpose of the song while I'm writing, the song will have its own internal logic that stands up to reinterpretation. If nothing else, at least I have a small library of musical ideas from which to seed the rest of the score. I have a memory theme, a flirtatious theme, a minor key melody, a major key melody, musical riffs and gestures, chord sequences that can be used under other melodies. I know how I could extend this song into a reprise if needed, and the rhythms of the song lend themselves to choreography if there's a dance sequence. While your solution might be very different to mine, I hope my thought process helps you develop your own composition strategies. So look for the next video to see how I rehearse and record vocals, and of course, the finished product. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I do love you. And if you love me, you'd comment, like, subscribe. Get out there and be brilliant.